Hey everyone, it's Rick, the Static Nomadic. Thanks for coming back for part 2 on the Aqua Bay rebuild. I've set up a little demonstration over here to show you how this was designed originally and where the problem occurred, and that way you can be on the lookout for it yourself in your motor coach if you have an Aqua system. The biggest problem is by the time you spot it, it's really going to be too late. And I hate to tell you that, I really do, because I did not see this coming. Unfortunately, it rusts from the inside out. And if you see any rust around the edges of your plating where that plate is welded on, then you've probably got a problem going on. And being welded on, and welded on in the fashion that it's actually welded, there isn't a whole lot you can do other than go through what I've gone through. And this is absolutely a nightmare. So, with that being said, let me show you how this was designed. Okay, we're gonna just pretend here that this is our water tank bay and the Aqua bay, not the main bay, just the two rear bays, the water tank bay and the Aqua bay. This is how it was originally designed. You had this plastic piece that was contact cemented to plywood, and this was really cheap, thin, untreated plywood nonetheless. And like I said, cheap, untreated, thin plywood. See how thin that is? I hope you can. You know, it's quarter inch. Pass fails, never fails. All right. Now, then you had a cheap, thin piece of aluminum. Now, this is actually the aluminum that I'm using, which is twice as thick, literally twice as thick as what came out of there. I don't have any of that stuff left. We already scrapped that out, but there was an aluminum plate here, and these pieces here, well, whatever. Anyway, these were actually bolted or screwed down with self-tapping screws to the framework itself, and then this piece was contact cemented over it just to hide those screws. All right, so, and then under the aluminum, you had your framework, and you had this blue foam here. And then this was your steel plate right here that was actually welded up underneath. And it was actually welded from underneath, but also from inside. There were spot welds all the way along the insides of every box, all along the rails. So there was absolutely no way to unbolt this plate and drop it down and see if you had a problem. And you know, you can see what this is one of the original plates. This is not original framework, but this is one of the original plates right where the Aqua was. And the water, any water that got in the bay, whether it was from the door seals, the basement seals, or from the Aqua itself, or even just servicing the Aqua, if you let water go free in that bay, it was going to find a way down to this foam and this foam plate. and then the water would just sit there, and of course it would eventually rust out your framework and this bottom plate, and that's what's happened. That's exactly where I'm at. Okay, and as far as the main bay forward, the big bay forward, everything else is designed like this. It's plywood, contact cemented to that same cheap aluminum that was under there, and then it's screwed down to the frame, and then there was a piece of carpet over it, and it was, you know, carpet glued down. That was it. Everything under the frame, you know, would have been painted. Whatever. They should have welded it and painted it like they did the rest of the framework, and then put the foam in there and done everything else and sealed it off. That would have been, and possibly even put some bleed holes in it, you know, to let any moisture that got in there get out and let some air flow through there and dry it out. But at any rate, that's the way it would have been. It, you know, the framework, your aluminum up on top, and your plywood screwed to the framework, and then carpet glued over the top of it. That was the original setup on the main bay forward. So anyway, in the end, I decided to put the plate up on top, and that way I could keep, you know, a close eye on the framework, just for future reference. Make sure that nothing bad happens again. And I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to do my slider bay where my Joey box is eventually. But right now I've got to get through all of this. Here's the slider bay with my Joey box in it, and yes, I'm probably gonna have to do it as well, but it shows how the framework was actually set up before in this. This is my big bay over here, and you see the reinforcements that I did, all the bracing, because like I said, I put a lot of weight in this center bay. This holds everything, and this Joey bay isn't much lighter, with the exception it's on the Joey bed, and the Joey bed is bolted to that framework, which kind of helps things out. But you can count them there. This is the outside stringer. That's 2, that's 3, that's 4, and then there's one at the very, very end there. So you got 5 crossbars, including your 2 outsides. And now in this bay, you got a whole lot more support. A lot more support. And then up under the Aqua hot bay, did the same thing, and I supported around where the Aqua hot is going to sit. You see that big hole in the center? That's where the exhaust comes down, and it's got support all the way around it. And then the water bay, I just added a couple extra braces in there. Nothing special, but it'll be a lot stronger. I mean, that's what holds the water tank. So well, everyone, I hope that was somewhat helpful in understanding how this coach was designed. All of these Monacos, as far as I know, were designed the same way. Now, what happened after 2000 or whenever they got bought out, I'm not exactly sure. But if you have a plate under those two bays and you start seeing rust, well, then you know that you've probably got problems on your framework. And I don't know what to tell you to do on that one. Honestly, this framework probably could have went another 10, 15 years before having to be replaced. I mean, before the Aqua actually fell out or something like that. But at the same point, I wouldn't, I don't want to tell you to trade your coach in and let some poor other sap deal with it. I don't think that's right either. So I honestly don't know what to tell you there. If you don't see any rust on that plate, just do the absolute best you can not to dribble water down in your bays. Make sure and keep a close eye on your Aqua system. No leaks, no problems like that. As far as your, filling your tank, don't let a bunch of water just dribble down, when you unplug the hose. It would probably be best to unplug it from the spigot itself and drain it backwards. And then even put a towel or something to catch the water from your fill line when you undo the hose. That's the best advice I can give you. So I hope it helps, and peace out, people.